All right, so this is the history of Warcraft in just a few minutes, done very poorly and probably incorrectly. So, in the very beginning, it was just an empty space called the Void. In the Void, there were these things called the Dark Ones and the things called the Titans. Well, the old ones, I guess. The Void Lords. So the Void Lords were like, we don't like you. And then the Titans were like, but you shut up. So the Titans, they had really big penises. And with those penises, they got too big, so they had to cut them up into little pieces. Those little pieces became planets. Two of those planets that we know of became inhabitable by life. One of them
The
was called Azeroth,
testicles.
the Testicles of the Titans. The Testicles of the Titans became inhabitable, at least two of them that we know of so far. One of them was called Azeroth, where we start our campaign. The other one was called Draenor, and that's where all the Draenei live. They're a bunch of goat people with weird goat legs. That's what their legs look like. They look like goats. Right there. That also looks like a dick. Let me erase that. Hold on. Inside these planets, especially Azeroth, the reason it's called Azeroth is because there's a baby Titan in it, and the baby's like a little fetus, and he's like, and that baby's called Azeroth. That baby is supposed to be like uber powerful, so the Titans want to protect it. They want to put a big shield around it, and they don't want anyone going near it. But the Void Lords are like, ooh, I don't like that shit. There you go. They don't like that shit. They want that baby Titan dead. They want to corrupt it. They want it gone. So what they do is they plant their seed. Pew! They plant their seed in there, and those seeds are called the Old Ones, the Old Gods. The Old Gods include Cthulhu, and then some other ones.
Cthulhu is the only one you're ever gonna really have to know.
Yeah, at least for Classic, that's the only one you have to know. So they planted an old god on there called Cthulhu. He basically became a pimple that was sucking the life force out of that baby. So what they were like, we don't want that. And then a million kajillion years go by, and there are these weird fucking things running around called trolls. And the trolls had big tusks. That's not a mustache. But they had small dicks because they couldn't fight. And when they did fight, they killed each other a lot. Over time, some of these trolls were like, hey, we're better than you. We don't want to do this. And they took a big boat over to this little island over here, and over time they changed into these weird looking purple motherfuckers, and their backs became straight and not like that. And they called themselves the Night Elves, and the Night Elves were like, hey, we're cool. We like mana, which is like the life force of Azeroth. You know, remember that little Titan? Yeah, that Titan gives you a little lifeblood in its veins called mana. What they did was they created something called, I don't know what it was called. It was like a mana fountain. Shut up. In this mana fountain, what they did was they just slowly sucked it out. Over time, they became addicted to it, and they became gross, like this. And after being gross for a while, they were like, we need more mana! So they did this. And they just injected themselves with it, right in their bodies.
Yes.
So over time, they became the Highborn, and they secluded themselves on an island called Suramar. Well, not the island, in a place called Suramar, and they walled it off. No one can go in there. Now forget about them. We won't see them for another 400,000 years.
Isn't Suramar supposed to be that place next to Quel'Thanas or whatever?
No, Suramar is in the Broken Isles. They're like, they're like the only place that isn't fucked by the Legion right now.
Yeah.
But they did get like a little fucked. So the elves broke out, and they were like, we don't want that. Over time, some of the elves moved away, and they got shorter and paler and grosser, and they became humans. And then somewhere like a long time before that, in a different place, the Titans made rock people, and the rock people were really cool. But then the old gods were like, haha, fuck you, idiot. And they created what's called the Curse of Flesh. The Curse of Flesh turned all the stone things into human things, or dwarf things, the little short ones, like this. But they were really pissed, so they got really big beards, and they say, fuck yeah! And some of them turned into dwarves, some of them turned into trogs. Trogs were like a dwarf, except they look like this. Anyway, back to the humans and shit. Over time, the humans were like, hey, kingdoms probably? So they made kingdoms. The humans were like, what do we call it? I don't know, Lordaeron probably? Okay, cool, that sounds good. And then the other guys were like, Stormwind probably? Okay, that sounds good. So they did that. And then over time, some bad guys called the demons, made by the Void Lords a cajillion years ago, were sent in like a drug. Again, more drug references, and they got injected into the Azeroth. Now, the way Azeroth coped with this was nothing. She didn't do anything. She's a dumb baby. She's a dumb Titan baby. But over time, these demons, there's 3 pretty cool ones, Balnazar, and then 2 others. They were like, hey, we should probably start like fucking these peoples up like by their minds. Over time, the humans started fighting each other in the wars. There were like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, whatever, 7. After that, they were like, on the 3rd one, we got this shit. So the demons took over, and they were like, hey, let's do some shit. Let's do some shit. So they started whispering sweet nothings into the ear of little Arthas. He's a little fucked up, but he got a big ear. Whatever.
Oh, Arthas did kind of look like that though.
They hooked him up. He had a big ear for the nonsense that they were whispering, so he kind of took hold of it. He really liked it. So what they did was they told him, "Hey man, go kill those people. Go kill those people. Hey, go kill those people." And they infected the major city that Arthas was set to be the king of, called Lordaeron. So what they did was they put chicken shit. Those are stink lines. They put chicken shit in all the food, and they gave it to the Lordaeron. They were like, "Hey, Lordaeronians, eat this shit." So they did that. And there was a smaller city called Stratholme, and then Arthas, when he grew up, became a knight, and he was like, "Hey, hold on." He became a knight with long hair and a big sword.
Oh, he definitely looked like that.
And he was like, "Hey, we gotta kill all the people in Stratholme because they're my people and I like them." And then there are these cool guys called the Paladins who can talk to the light, which is the opposite of the Void Lords. I didn't tell you that because they didn't matter until now. And the light was like, "Hey, don't do that." And Arthas was like, "Shut up." So Arthas killed everyone in Stratholme. It was called the Culling of Stratholme. The Paladins who wield the light were like, "No, no, I don't want that. We don't want that shit." So the Paladins abandoned Arthas, but Magni, Bronzebeard, he was like this tall, and Arthas was like that tall. Magni was like, "Hey, don't." And Arthas was like, "Nah, I'm gonna grab this sword. This sword's really cool." So he grabbed the sword out of the ice because it was whispering to him. That sword was called Frostmourne, and that sword was like made by the demon peeps, or not the demon peeps, but the demon peeps, and it was made to make him go crazy. So what he did was he went crazy, he went stupid, blah blah blah, and then he just went
Killed his dad.
and he poked him. So he went back to his home, and he killed his dad. Dead, no more dad. So and his dad was the king of the Lordaeron. After killing his dad, he kind of went mad with power, and he escaped to Northrend on a boat. Northrend, by the way, so here's Azeroth. This is where he was before, called the Kidney. Here's the other side. That's the other kidney. This is where Northrend was. You didn't know where it was in Classic because shut up. He hid in Northrend, and then this is where Stormwind is. This is where Lordaeron was almost. This is where Ironforge is. That's where the dwarves live. He went from here to there to there to there, and he was like, "I'm just gonna hide here for a bit." And the Paladins and Stormwind were like, "Hey, stop it."
Oh, he actually. So wait, didn't he sink Magni Bronzebeard's ship after he killed him? Because they're in Northrend when he got the sword. That's where he got the sword from.
Yeah, he got the sword in Northrend, and then he sank Magni Bronzebeard's ship. Magni didn't die; he just sank. Because they don't float. Dwarves don't float. Little known fact.
They don't.
So that's Kalimdor. That's where the Horde live. You don't have to care about them yet. This is where the humans and those guys are. This is Northrend. So he was in here, got the sword, and he just chilled there for a bit. Over time, he just sat on a frozen throne and went absolutely fucking bonkers. And the whole time he was there, he was raising an army of undead. Not live. times 10 billion. That's billion. Yep. Times a billion. So he made like a billion undeads, and he just kind of sat there for a while, and he was like, I'll just sit on this for a bit. Now forget all you know about Northrend, because we're going back. Where are we going back to, you say? This place, where it all started, like 30 years ago. Reset, 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 reset,
Oh, oh, oh.
reset. Okay. So now, after that shit, Lordaeron, gone. Stormwind, that's cool. Ironforge, that's cool.
We're
then-
gone.
What?
We're gone bad.
Oh, Nomergon was like right here. So okay, look. If Ironforge is right here, it's built in the mountain, full of dwarves, really cool, really hot, but also cold. Nomergon was right here, in the other side of the mountain. That's where there were a bunch of gears and shit just turning for no reason. That's where the gnomes were. The gnomes were like that tall, and they all went fucking bonkers because they were experimenting way too much, and they released a chemical in the air called and that chemical turned them all into lepers. Now this blue thing here, what you see is that's his penis.
No, that's Arthas. That's how tall Arthas is for comparison.
Oh yeah, that for reference, that's how tall Arthas is. He's about that tall, and gnomes are about that tall. So now we could do this. So the gnomes went fucking bonkers, and they were like into Ironforge. Then what? I don't know what the fuck's happening in Classic. Oh yeah, a lady showed up, and she's like, I'm fucking cool. I'm also really hot. I'm really hot and cool, and I'm noble. You just didn't know me. And the King Varian at the time, he was like, I gotta go somewhere, so he left.
Bye bye.
He got split into two. Very weird. There were two variants for a while. That's variant 1. That's variant 2.
Isn't that what his swords are in the later?
I have no idea. Don't ask me that question. This one's a bitch. He came back, but this one was really cool. But he had to stay because people kept him there. So he was out fighting people in arenas and shit, doing cool shit, while this guy was being a pawn and a bitch to Lady Katrana Prestor. Over time, King Baron came back. Hey, what the fuck is up? Oh, who's that tiny weird looking guy that looks like me, but he's also a bitch? And then King Varian's son, Anduin, he's like, hey, dwarf guy that I know. And that was one of the Bronzebeards, I think, or a Wild Hammer. I don't know. Don't ask.
Hammer, but
He's got a big fucking hammer. He was like, hey, dwarf guy, my dad isn't my dad because he's being a bitch. And the dwarf goes like, you're fucking right. And they beat the shit out of him. And then over time, she was like, I gotta be a dragon again. So she turned into a fucking dragon in the middle of Stormwind. Oh my god, that's a dragon, believe it or not. And that dragon's name was Onyxia, and Onyxia was really cool. Onyxia was this big purple dragon. Anyway, oh, by the way, there are dragons and shit. There's a bunch of different colors. Don't ask me what they are. Most of them are bad. She was a black dragon, and she was like the bad bitch of the black dragon. She was the brood mother. She gave birth. And they all squeezed out of her like this.
yes.
This is her head with the... Rawr. She looks like a snail. Don't look at that. Don't look at that picture. Anyway, she looked really cool, believe me. She eventually, bitch ass and cool ass went over with the alliance. Bitch ass was like, I don't want to be here, and cool ass was like, shut the fuck up, bitch ass. And what they did was they killed Onyxia. Onyxia fucking died. She's dead, gone forever. And then with that power, combined.
Okay, give me the Cheez-Its. You've had enough Cheez-Its.
Combined bitch ass and cool ass back to normal ass. So the king was normal again. That's cool. And then that's you, right there. You're like, hey, Northshire Abbey, and there's this other guy there, and he's like, you go kill some kobolds, and you're like, okay, and that's where Classic starts.
I have so many questions.